Hello, we're reading from Faces at the Bottom of the Well by Derek Bell. I'm reading from a great story about alien traders who want black bodies and what how the United States responds to the aliens' requests. Because the aliens want to trade um, technology for black bodies that United States needs. So now we're dealing with what policies will happen to either make the trade happen or not. Easy for them to say, he murmured to an aide. I'll bet most of those who favor the trade didn't sign or give their names. On the contrary, the assistant replied, the callers are identifying themselves and the telegrams are signed. At least a third of the flood of phone calls and faxes urging quick acceptance of the offer expressed the view that what the nation would give up, its African American citizens, was as worthwhile as what it would receive. The statements accurately reflected relations at the dawn of the new century. The president had, like his predecessors for the last generation, successfully exploited racial fears and hostility in his election campaign. There have been complaints, of course, but those from his political opponents sounded like sour grapes. They too had tried to minimize the input of blacks so as not to frighten away white voters. The race problem had worsened greatly in the 1990s. A relatively small number of blacks had survived the retrogression of civil rights protection. Perhaps 20% having managed to make good in the increasingly technologically oriented society. But without anyone acknowledging it, and with hardly a peep from the press, more than one half of the group had become outcasts. They were confined to former inner city areas that had been divorced from their political boundaries. High walls surrounded these areas, and armed guards controlled entrance and exits around the clock. Still, despite all precautions, young blacks escaped from time to terrorize whites. Long dead was the dream that this black underclass would ever overcome. That sounds like this is where we might be heading. Walls around the community. In other words, don't have walled in communities from us. Wall us in from everybody else. The president had asked Gleason Golightly, the conservative black economics professor who was his unofficial black cabinet member, to attend the meeting. Golightly was smart and seemed to be truly conservative, not a man ready to sing any political tune for a price. His mere presence as a person of color at this crucial session would neutralize any possible critics in the media, though not in the black civil rights community. The cabinet meeting came to order. I think we all know the situation, the president said. Those extraterrestrial beings are carrying in their ships a guarantee that America will conquer its present problems and prosper for at least all of this new century. I would venture, sir, the vice president noted, that the balance of your term will be known as America's Golden Age. Indeed, the era will almost certainly extend to the terms of your successor. The president smiled at the remark as on cue did the cabinet. The VP is right, of course, the president said. Our visitors from outer space are offering us the chance to correct the excesses of several generations. Furthermore, many of the men and women voters, all who have bombarded us with phone calls, see an added bonus in the space traders offer. He looked around at his attentive cabinet members. They are offering not only a solution to our nation's present problems, but also one, surely an ultimate one, to what might be called the great American racial experiment. That's the real issue before us today. Does the promise of restored prosperity justify our sending away 15% of our citizens to Lord knows what fate? There are pluses and minuses to this fate issue, Mr. President. Helen Hittmeyer, Secretary of Health and Human Services, usually remains silent at cabinet meetings. Her speaking up now caused eyebrows to rise around the table. A large percentage of blacks rely on welfare and other social services. Their departure would see substantially, with ease, substantially the burden on our state and national budgets. Why the cost of caring for black AIDS victims alone has been extraordinary. On the other hand, the consternation and guilt among many whites if the blacks are sent away would take a severe psychological toll, with medical and other costs which might also reach astronomical levels. To gain the benefits we are discussing without serious side effects, we must have more justification than I've heard thus far. Um, that's that's uh that's the way decisions are made, and I love the way this story takes us in the room where decisions are made, and I believe this is exactly how it works. I've seen enough political shows. I've seen enough, read enough political books, and read enough historical books to know this is exactly what happens. And when you don't have a person in the room representing you, you're finished. Okay? I don't care how much you march. I don't care how much you scream. The only other way to do something without having a person in the room where powerful decisions are being made is to have your own independent institutions and your own rooms. That's the only two options you got. Thank you for your support. Until next time, take care of your mind, take care of your body, and be safe.